One of the questions I get asked is, what are the proper practices for the beginning and the end of our day? And as I mentioned in my upcoming book, that the way we start the day and the way we end the day essentially marks sort of our daily bookmarks. And it's sort of your life bridge, how you begin and end the day. And the practices that we do, and there are many different layers to this, but if I were to give an overview, it would go something like this. For example, when we wake up in the morning, you've slept 8 hours. These days, people are not even getting 8 hours, right? But let's say you did overnight. A lot of people now with having breathing issues, most people, for part of the night, you've slept with your mouth open. So you're fairly dehydrated in the morning. And so one of the primary things that we want to do in the morning is to replenish that water in your system. Because we know that if you begin your day dehydrated, all the science says that one, your strength, your muscle output, your cognition, all of that suffers. And so we want to prime our body by rehydrating first thing in the morning. And in my case, I take a good 24 to 32 ounces of water first thing in the morning, filtered water, and with a little bit of lemon. And that just brings me back to life. And I just feel 10 times better as soon as I'm hydrated, in the first thing in the morning. The second thing is priming our body. And priming our body is, what I tell people as a radiologist, I see our posture go out of whack during the day, right? You're texting, you're leaning over your desk onto the computer. And so we're losing kind of that alignment that should be in our neck and keeping it healthy, And you could do it right now. You can just check your alignment and see when your neck is forward versus when your neck is aligned well, and you put your index finger on your chin, you push your chin back, and you'll see how much of a difference that is. And so when you begin your day, how to align yourself and how do you do that first thing in the morning is very important. And so a couple of things that we can do is, one, I recommend people do simple neck exercises, simple neck stretches, sideways, forwards, backwards, which kind of loosens up your neck muscles and then keep you in better alignment during the day. The other aspect of that is that our thoracic rounding that happens when we kind of engage with technology, I recommend that people hang at least 15 seconds, 30 seconds. And most people think hanging is, how hard can it be? But when you try it, you'll realize that hanging, after 45 seconds, it is a difficult thing unless you have tremendous strength. These gymnasts that are hanging have unbelievable strength. But what happens is that when you hang, you loosen up those muscles in the back and then keeps those shoulders back, and we'll keep that alignment, okay? So that is a great way to start off the morning, is to hydrate first and then prime your body for movement during the day in proper alignment with your neck, with your thoracic spine. And I believe that's a good way to start off your AM routine. So the other aspect of this is, how do you wind down your day? What is the correlate of that in the PM? One of the aspects is that at the end of the day, we want our stress hormone or our cortisol levels to be as low as possible. And the reason being is that when our cortisol is low, it promotes much easier transition into sleep and helps with that melatonin increase during the evening. And so that there is very little sleep latency, as we call it, which is the time it takes to fall asleep. And so what we want to do is that during that evening time, one is, for most people, an issue is the exposure to blue light. And I recommend that for the last 30 minutes at least, or if you can manage the last 60 minutes, do something that is analog and non-technologically driven. Read a book or uh, sit and chat with your family, or play some board games or something that you enjoy, but do not be in front of a screen that is close to your face, because from the screen you're getting a lot of blue light. The blue light is signaling your brain that it is daytime, and so you're not going to have that melatonin spike that you need to fall asleep. That's one part. The second part of that is that we want to keep the cortisol level low, right? So if the last thing you do is watch the news, right? And not that you shouldn't be informed about what's going on in the world, I believe it's important, but save that for midday or early afternoon, but do not do that as the last thing at night, because if you do that before you go to sleep, now you have your stress response activated and your fight or flight response, your cortisol level spikes, watching all the events that's happening in the world. And certainly, in this day and age, there is a lot to talk about, a lot going on. So when your cortisol spikes at the evening because of those things, you will not be able to transition peacefully into sleep. And so if you can spend 10-15 minutes right before going to sleep in some sort of a breathing practice that can just calm you down, lower your cortisol, you will have a much easier time falling asleep. Avoid blue light. And I believe those are some of the key factors at the end of your day to kind of help you transition into a restful sleep and then have a glorious day the next day.